Okay, ready to dive into some seriously creepy TV.
Always up for a good scare, especially when it comes to those shows that catch you off guard.
Right, like you think you're settling in for some laughs or maybe a sci-fi adventure, and then bam, you're sleeping with the lights on for a week.
It's like that feeling when you're home alone and you hear a noise. Suddenly, every creak and groan in the house is terrifying.
Exactly. And that's what we're diving into today, not just straight up horror shows, but those episodes, those moments that get under your skin, even in shows you wouldn't expect.
And what's really interesting is how that element of surprise actually amplifies the fear.
Because we let our guard down.
Right.
We're comfortable with these characters, these worlds.
Exactly. We think we know what to expect, and then boom, the rug's pulled out from under us.
Okay, so let's jump right into it with a prime example. The weeping angels from that Doctor Who episode, Blink.
Ah, classic. See, now you wouldn't necessarily think of Doctor Who as terrifying.
Yeah, usually it's more, I don't know, adventurous, wacky.
Right, but that's what makes Blink so effective. The Doctor, who's usually our safety net, is largely absent for most of the episode.
Leaving poor Sally Sparrow to deal with those creepy statues.
And she's a new character, so we don't have that same level of comfort or familiarity with her that we do with the Doctor. We're thrown into this scary situation right alongside her.
And speaking of scary situations, the threat itself, those weeping angels, terrifying concept. They can only move when you're not looking at them. So blinking, which we do instinctively, becomes this incredibly dangerous act.
It taps into that primal fear of the unseen, the unknown. It's like that feeling of being watched when you know no one's there.
Yeah.
But Blink takes it a step further. It forces that vulnerability on the viewer, you know?
It makes you question your own awareness. Like, every time you blink, did something change? Did something move closer?
Exactly. Okay, now for another curveball. Let's talk about a show that's definitely geared toward a younger audience. The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody.
Oh, yeah. Specifically, that episode, The Ghost of Sweet 613.
Okay, so we're talking about a show that's basically pure, harmless fun, right?
Slapstick humor, wacky situations, the whole 9 yards.
And then they hit us with this genuinely creepy episode about a haunted suite in the hotel. And it's brilliant because it completely subverts the audience's expectations.
Not to mention, a lot of the viewers were kids themselves. Talk about messing with your perception of a show you thought you knew.
It shows how even a familiar setting like the Tipton Hotel can become unsettling when it's associated with something scary.
Oh, and don't even get me started on that scene where Esteban gets possessed.
Chills every time. The way his voice changes, his eyes.
I swear, that episode single-handedly gave me a fear of hotel rooms for like a year.
It just goes to show how our early encounters with fear, especially those tied to our favorite shows, can leave a lasting impression.
Totally. And it proves that scary TV doesn't have to be gory or violent to be effective. Sometimes it's the psychological stuff that really sticks with you. Okay, ready for our last deep dive.
Hit me with it.
This one's for all you 90s kids out there. Let's talk about Boy Meets World and the episode, and then there was Shaun.
Oh, the one where they basically turned a sitcom into a slasher film.
Exactly. We're used to seeing Corey, Topanga, and Shaun dealing with everyday teenage problems.
School dances, first dates, misunderstandings with parents, the usual.
Right, and then suddenly they're trapped in their high school with a murderer on the loose.
Complete with a storm raging outside and no way to contact the outside world.
Talk about a recipe for a heart attack. What I love about this episode is how it plays with those classic slasher tropes.
Totally. The masked killer, the dark and stormy night, the sense of isolation, it's all there.
They even directly referenced the movie Scream at one point, which I thought was a brilliant touch.
It's like they're acknowledging the audience's awareness of the genre while simultaneously subverting those expectations. We know these tropes, but we don't expect to see them in our favorite sitcom.
And that's what makes it so effective. Because it keeps you guessing, keeps you on the edge of your seat, even when you think you know what's coming next.
Right, because deep down we're still rooting for Corey and the gang, even though we're also terrified for them.
So I guess the big question is, what makes a TV episode truly scary? Is it jump scares? Gore? Special effects?
Sometimes, sure. But I think what we've seen today is that the most effective scares are often the ones that get under our skin, the ones that linger in the back of our minds long after the credits roll.
It's about atmosphere, anticipation, and most importantly, catching us off guard when we least expect it.
Exactly. It's about tapping into those primal fears, those things that are hardwired into us, and exploiting them in ways that surprise us, even when we think we're safe on familiar ground.
And it's about the characters. Right, because when we care about the characters, their fear becomes our fear.
Absolutely. When we're invested in their world, even if it's a fictional world, their pain becomes real. And that's what makes for truly unforgettable television.
So here's a question for you to ponder. What TV episode from any show has truly stuck with you? What about it got under your skin? Keep that in mind next time you watch something that sends chills down your spine. You never know what might be lurking around the corner.
Or who might be watching you when you blink.